The harvest of lotus seeds begins in mid-autumn. The flowers have withered, leaving the ripened seed pods on the stalks. Embedded in the nozzle-shaped pods are many seeds. These delicacies are extracted and made into confections. Lotus is just one of the plants cultivated by the local farmers. The Delta region south of Shanghai is known as the water country. Here, near the city of Shaoxing, every aspect of life is sustained by water. Hundreds of miles of canals traverse the land, linking towns and villages. This area was once a huge flooded plain, sparsely populated, uncultivated. Legend has it that 4,000 years ago, Yu the Great tamed the flood waters. He dug channels to conduct the waters to the sea. He constructed dikes and drained the lowlands to make fields. Over the centuries, farmers painstakingly expanded and deepened the canals, built up and enriched the land, creating a highly productive environment. They also cultivate the fruits of the water, such as ling, which grows in floating patches. The ling plant bears an unusually shaped fruit. Inside the hard shell is a white starchy meat, sweet and crunchy, with a taste like a water chestnut. Moving on the water is so much a part of daily life that the peasants have developed a unique way of rowing. These young women are husking water bamboo, known locally as goba. The underground roots grow in shallow water and send up shoots by late summer. The tender white parts of the new shoot is eaten as a vegetable, much enjoyed for its delicate taste and crispy texture. Lu You, a renowned Shaoxing poet of the 12th century, wrote longingly about this local favorite while living in a distant province. He yearned for a dish of crunchy goba and a taste of silver carp. Mature shoots are cut individually, beginning in the late summer and continuing throughout the fall. The tall leaves are dried, then used to weave mats. The lotus pods have been picked, water drained from the patch. Still, there is more to harvest. Farmers search beneath the mud for the fleshy lotus roots. Some of the roots will be stored and replanted next spring. Others will find their way to the family table. Suspended from these bamboo frames are hundreds of wire baskets, each containing giant river clams. In recent years, pearl cultivation has been developed by the farmers as a source of supplemental income. The clams are implanted with bits of tissue. This causes the clams to secrete layers of nacre around the irritant. These freshwater pearls have been forming for over 3 years. The best are used for jewelry. Smaller ones are finely ground to make face cream. The lustrous pearl powder is thought to enhance a fair complexion. Farmers don't depend on fishermen's luck for their catch. Fish too are cultivated as an underwater crop. Mandarin perch, carp, and porgies are farmed in this enclosed stretch of canal. Each species feeds at a different stratum, some on top, others at the bottom, making maximum use of the area. The liquid highways are the life system of the water country. This wide section is known as Guantong, traditionally maintained by official funds. Along this stretch is a granite footpath built some 800 years ago. Boatmen still use it to pull their vessels upstream against the current. Daily life is intimately related to the constant coursing of the water. Wedding boats laden with dowry, funeral processions, worshippers and workers all wend their way along the canals. Towns and villages are connected by water, but this network is used for more than transportation. The canals carry flood waters to the ocean, and they provide irrigation for the land. Periodically, the rich silt from the bottom is dredged up and used to fertilize the fields. In this way, both land and water are continually renewed. The larger canals flow into smaller and smaller ones, stretching to remote villages. A traveling vendor has arrived at the river village commune. Bartering remains a strong tradition, and this man has dry noodles to trade. In return, he asks for whole grain wheat. The village is typical of others in the region. Most people are farmers, but the commune also runs factories to produce roof tiles and clothing. Mei Ying is the second daughter of the Shi family. She has begun to wash vegetables for the noonday meal. Country dishes are simple, using available produce, fish, and waterfowl. Today's lunch will include goba, cabbage, and lotus root. Rice has just been harvested and a new crop planted. There's a respite before intensive cultivation begins. In their spare time, the younger women make lace to earn pin money for their personal fancy. The Shi family live in a traditional compound that once belonged to a wealthy landlord. They share it with 5 other families. The courtyard is their social center, a place to gossip, to play, to cool off on warm evenings. The family kitchen is simple: 2 tables, a cabinet, and an earthen stove with built-in niches to hold oil and seasonings. Oing, the eldest daughter, has come to help her mother prepare lunch. She is married and she works as an accountant at the commune shirt factory. Shifu, the wife of the only son, is a barefoot doctor, a paramedic who travels from village to village. Very little wood is available, so Mrs. Shi fuels the fire with straw. It burns rapidly and needs to be constantly regulated. The sliced goba is stir-fried in hot oil. Then a little water is added for steaming. Mei Ying prepares fresh lotus root. Some will be sautéed with pork, some will be stuffed with sweet rice for a late afternoon snack. The fresh goba requires very little seasoning, just a touch of soy sauce, sugar, and salt. Today is a holiday, and most of the family will be at the parents' house for lunch. Although everyone lives nearby, the entire family eats together only on special occasions. Mr. Shi used to work for a silk factory in Shanghai, but 20 years ago, hard times forced him to move the family to this village, his ancestral home. Learning to farm was very difficult and took years, yet they persevered. Now his son and 2 younger daughters are farmers. There are more dishes than usual today: fresh crab, shrimp, vegetables, duck, and fish. The young children enjoy the extra treat and attention. To help celebrate, rice wine is served with lunch. For the grandparents, there is great pleasure in having the family gathered around a bountiful table, and they are thankful for their good fortune. Canals connect the countryside to the city of Shaoxing. These fishermen have come from nearby Mirror Lake to sell their catch. There is a famous legend about the lake. It was once a muddy pond. One day an old fisherman snagged an ancient bronze mirror. As he gazed into it, he saw himself in the prime of life. Rumor of this magic mirror reached the ear of a corrupt magistrate. He came to see his reflection, but when he looked into the mirror, all he saw was a black heart. Enraged, he flung the mirror into the muddy lake. Suddenly the waters became crystal clear. Mirror Lake is said to reflect one's true nature, so people with something to hide never gaze into the limpid water. Perhaps it is the purity of spirit which makes the water so favorable for Shaoxing's most famous creation, its wine. For Shaoxing is also the name of China's premier rice wine. Its sweet smell scents the air. Whitewashed wine jugs are piled everywhere. Rice wine is made throughout China, but Shaoxing wine is undisputably the best. The secret, most agree, is the incomparable water from Mirror Lake. Winemaking begins in the late fall after the new rice has been harvested. The first step is to soak the glutinous rice overnight in water piped in from the lake. The next day, the rice is rinsed thoroughly and measured, so each batch will be of equal weight. For 20 minutes, the sweet rice is steamed in wooden tubs. The cooked rice is rinsed again and allowed to cool slightly. Several tubs of cooked rice are emptied into the earthen crock, and yeast, a fermenting agent, is mixed in. The mixture is then shaped into an inverted cone, providing the maximum surface for fermentation. Although the wine-making process is not complicated, its success depends upon the experience of the winemaster. He alone can balance all the variables that determine the quality of this famous wine. The fermented liquid is strained from the jug and steam heated. The wine is aged in clay jars for a minimum of 3 years. An old custom was to have wine made upon the birth of a daughter. The so-called daughter wine was aged underground to be opened at a wedding feast. Each jar is elaborately capped. The mouth is first covered by a dried lotus leaf which lends a subtle fragrance, then a piece of wax paper, a ceramic lid, and finally layers of bamboo sheaths. The coverings are secured by a straw tie. The jars are sealed with a special mixture of clay, salt, and rice chaff. Despite the thick seal, the wine is still able to breathe through the porous clay. The last step is to apply the vermilion stamp of Shaoxing, identifying this as China's best. After the seals have dried, the crocks are placed in a cool storehouse, there to age for many years. Most of Shaoxing's wine is shipped all over the country, but some remains at home, flowing freely at the many local wine shops. At the end of the day, friends will gather for a bowl of warm rice wine and a few tasty snacks. The wine tavern is a place to discuss local affairs, to transact business, to relax with companions. Wine drinking is always accompanied by special tidbits. Shaoxing's wine shops offer a wide variety: anise-flavored beans, salted duck eggs, five-spice bean curds, and braised peanuts complement the slightly sweet wine, which tastes somewhat like dry sherry. Wine is sold in these unique containers which serve as a measure and a warming vessel. In cold weather, the tin carafes are immersed in hot water to warm the wine. Lu Xing, perhaps China's greatest 20th century writer, wrote about this shop, Prosperity Tavern, where the scholar and the common man gathered. One poignant story is about the gradual decline of a down-on-his-luck scholar who clings to his long robe as the symbol of his learned status. As he becomes more destitute, his robe more tattered, his face gaunt, he suffered the growing rudeness of the counterman and the jeers of his fellow thinkers. Finally, he is driven away in shame and never heard from again. The people of Shaoxing are noted for their astuteness and good sense. Throughout the centuries, many became trusted advisors to officials of the court. Some have suggested that the wine shops of Shaoxing taught them to hold their liquor and their tongue. Wine drinking has long been considered a way to enhance the enjoyment of nature. In the crisp autumn air, beside a park converted from an abandoned granite quarry, these old friends gather to appreciate the scenery. Li Po, the exuberant 8th century poet, wrote, "3 bowls are the gateway to bliss. A jug and the world is yours." But Confucius always has the last word. There is no limit to wine drinking so long as you don't get drunk. The farmers have shaped the course of the water country. They have learned to reap its fruits, yet respect the fragile balance of man and nature. To them, the water not only sustains life, it is life itself.